Welcome to another episode of Two Ales and Hockey Tales with Wally. Today's episode is brought to you by Future Shot Hockey Development. And today, I am so excited to have on a 41-year-old from Port Elgin, Ontario. His hockey journey took him to Canada, the USA, Germany, and the Netherlands. He also had a 42-goal and a 59-goal season with the Owen Sound Grays, a former Northeastern Husky, an Oberliga champion, we think, and a three-time WOAA Loop winner with the Saugeen Shore Winterhawks, and holds one of the greatest spears in hockey, I would say. Welcome to the podcast, Ryan Dudgeon.
Thanks, Brent. I'm probably the only one that calls you Brent on these things, eh?
Are you calling me Brent today? You want me to act like Brent on here?
I don't think I've ever called you Wally, to be honest with you.
Well, then I haven't been acting like myself around you, I guess.
Fair enough.
Well, that is how first thing is how we know each other. And I guess the first time I would have got to know who you were was when you were scoring 59 goals for the Owen Sound Grays when I was a young rookie, about 15, 16 with the Sugar Kings. But then when I really actually met you was when I went to Northeastern on a recruiting trip, and you were a freshman there that kind of showed me the sights of Boston, right?
Mm-hmm. That's correct.
You remember that trip?
Vaguely. We had a few guys through. I felt a bit, defensive with you young guys coming in. I knew you were going to take my spot, so I couldn't show you too good of a time.
Especially when you see my body and physique, right?
Exactly. A little bit of intimidation there, no doubt.
Yeah.
Top physical performer.
That's
I wish I did remember that, because a lot of I know my trip was awesome when I went to my visit at Northeastern. I stayed with Brian Sullivan, whose brother Mike coached the Penguins there, and I met him that trip when I went my first time, and we had a blast that weekend. And he made me want to go there. Plus the other guys that were there, Trevor Reshney and Eric Eric wouldn't have been there yet, but the other guys that showed me around, they were great, and they sold me on it totally. And we had a pretty good time with the few bucks the coaching staff would have gave us to go, have dinner and all that good stuff.
Yeah, I know when I went there, I never got to go out with the team. You guys didn't do anything fun. I think actually you had to bag skate, and a couple guys were injured. Ooh. And it was I was with guys that weren't even really that thrilled at the point, but I really enjoyed it. I just thought Boston was way too much for me from Elmira, Ontario. Boston was way too much for me on that trip, and I saw the trains and the people, and I was like, this is too much.
Yeah, no, I was kind of intrigued by the Boston situation. The gentleman in Port Elgin, Bill Buckton, kind of sold me on Boston growing up, because he went to Boston University in the 70s. And he was part of the whole thing where junior A players, OHL players, if they played so much, I think he went for the Kitchener Rangers for a bit. Then he took a scholarship to Boston University, and they called him out on it. And he ended up taking it to court. And he was part of that trial that allowed players to, I think they developed that 48-hour rule, where you can only go to the junior A camp for so long.
Yeah.
I still don't know if that's real or not.
Well, it doesn't really happen. Yeah.
Now nobody does it, but
I think because you know what, there's a lot. So continue that story, but we still got to finish just where we know each other.
I gotcha.
Yeah. Keep going though. So that's the guy that kind of got you into going to Boston, and so it wasn't too much for you going there, from Port Elgin.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, it was a big shocker, especially with Northeastern being right downtown Boston, as opposed to Boston University and Boston College. They're just on the outskirts. So we're right in the heart of it all with your trains, like you mentioned, and the people, and just everywhere. It's a small city and everyone's crammed in on you. But I wanted a different experience. I never got to go play hockey anywhere, really. I stayed in Port Elgin, and then went to Owen Sound, which is only a half an hour away from me. So I never built it. I never did anything like that. I never stepped outside my comfort zone when it came to hockey. So it was kind of a challenge for me. And I know the first day my father drove me down with a buddy of his, and they dropped me off, and we're just kind of sitting there, and I couldn't get a hold of anybody the first day I was there. I'm sitting in this my dorm room with some stranger that was there from the summertime. And I had to kick him out of his room. He was sleeping. I just walked in and he's like, "Who are you?" I'm like, "Who are you?" And I had to kick him out. And then I'm just standing there and I got everything moved in. Nobody knows I'm there for the Northeastern hockey team. Can't get a hold of anybody. This is before like everybody had cell phones, right?
Yeah.
We're that old. We could talk like this now. And so I'm standing there. I'm like, there's no point, Dad, for you to stand here and look at me. I'll deal with it. And then he walked out of the room. I just kind of sat there and I'm like, nobody knows I'm here. And I'm just, oh man, I kind of got overwhelmed. I'm like, I'm in a different country, different city. I have no idea what's going on.
You don't know like when practices, you don't know when to show up for anything.
No, like, yeah, no, I couldn't even get a hold of anybody. And so nobody knew I was there. The only reason I got into my room is I found out where to go to get into my dorm. And that was it. I couldn't get a hold of anybody. And so I walked outside all panicking, trying to find a payphone. And I walked by a guy I met on my recruiting visit, Leon Hayward, who coaches at Colorado College now. And I walked by him. I looked at him. And I go, "God, looks familiar." He kind of looked at me. Then we kind of walked past each other, and then stopped. We looked back again. And he goes, "You Ryan?" I go, "Yeah." "All right, you need some help?" And he ended up holding my hand that first day.
It sounds just like what I've envisioned, kind of what Northeastern was like, man. It was crazy when I got there. You're downtown, there's people everywhere, you're literally, they're like, "Well, this is where one of the places to eat is," and there's like trains going both ways and you gotta wait at the crosswalk. And I was like, okay. But the other part that, like, as soon as I got off the plane, I remember when I went to Northeastern, whoever the assistant coach was, I don't remember his name, but we got in that tunnel and he was zigging and zagging through traffic like crazy. And I'm used to like passing the horse and buggies and like taking the side roads so I don't have to drive too fast. And then all of a sudden I got there and I was like, wow, this is a fast pace of life.
Yeah, no, the would have been either Jamie Rice or Paul Canada. And they're both, I say this with respect, they're both massholes. So they know how to drive in that city. And you got to be aggressive, right? Or you're dead.
They were aggressive. It was like Rafi Torres at Brampton, I mentioned on the Stan Butler episode. But, okay, we got to move on because you know what? I had just said Northeastern recruiting trip was just how we knew each other, and we got sidetracked. So another way we know each other is we also coached phase 1 together this season for the Concussions Canucks. For about a month, we did some flow drills. Had to keep everybody 6 feet apart and all that good stuff, but we're not going to talk about that. But
we did for sure.
Our kids have become friends. Our wives have become friends, and you're living in Concussions now. Our kids are about the same age, but I think you got an extra one. So that gets us into where and what are you doing now?
Currently, like you mentioned, I got 2 kids. I got the one extra on you, Nash. So Cade, Blakely, and Nash got my kids, and so they're busy. All 3 of them, 9, 7, and 2. So it's busy times here. Plus, we'd kids doing homeschool and all that. We thought we'd throw in a new dog just to shake it up.
Those are great. Mine's about 3 years old. Yeah, the puppies the first year, what a mess. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so we thought we'd throw that in the mix because we weren't stressed at all with both Sandy, my wife, and I working. But working at a cannabis plant just in town here called Supreme Concussion, and not that I'm a partaker in it too much, but no, it's a different atmosphere there. And plus, got on the side here, I started a new business with called Future Shot Hockey, which is an indoor hockey facility on synthetic ice, where I can get these kids in there so I could work with them. And coupled with that is a hockey school to go along with that on real ice. And kind of a few setbacks with the COVID. I've had 2 scheduled over Christmas and 1 at March break, and they keep getting pushed. So I've done tons of bank transactions, giving people their money back, and people around here have been pretty good to me, though, have kept the credit with me just so I can stay afloat in these times. So
it's all the planning and the hours you'll put into that. Like it's like when we've been shouting out the restaurants, which I've been doing on these local pods. There's so many industries and businesses that are just so euchred right now, which is like my wife's tanning business. Like you'd almost have to go to say like a cash business out of your basement if you had like a salon in the basement that could do spray tans, and then you could still say like Wally 15 in the basement when you're naked in front of her for a heavy spray, right? But
Yep.
you'd have to do that because you're just not allowed to be open, because I don't know really what else you do, but we would never do that, right? So
No.
anyways, I think it's great you're opening up your thing, you're staying in hockey. I know you love hockey, and I'm really excited to check out your place whenever the heck we're able to, because you've even been kind enough to say you'll even give our little bucks a little Zoom call this weekend too, right?
Yeah, we'll try to figure something out there. We can get a little stick handle shooting, whatever we can do over Zoom, keep these
Yeah.
boys active.
Well, like I've had a couple other development people on. It's just very interesting how each week it's a completely different skills, completely different things each guy thought made them better. And I think going to these places and being able to learn from different people has been tremendous. I've actually been just sitting back watching and learning like what I could help teach by these other guys, right? And I'm very happy you're into it. I hope COVID can actually let you open up and see what you can make this place, right? Because you really haven't got a chance yet, and I feel that's just brutal, man. And I just hope you get open and get rolling here.
Yeah, we took a chance there in the new year. We got it built January, February, hoping that we'd come right into the spring here, the late winter, and we could just keep rolling, right? We got about 5 weeks in where we had some business. And you know what? It was a blast, those 5 weeks. The kids that came in there were awesome. And a lot of repeat customers. I think I had only a few people that haven't returned. Most people showed up again. And like I said, the kids were awesome. We had a lot of fun. And I learned a lot with just in those 5 weeks of what the kids want, how to go about teaching them, just a strategy. It'll be ever evolving process of how to go about teaching these kids. But I'm just hoping for a nice, safe environment where we come in, just fire pucks, man. And and so far the kids have had a blast, like I said.
Yeah, and like they can wear like the real skates on it, right?
Yeah, real skates. Yeah, it's fun. For the lighter kids, it's really good. Had some older teenagers in there. It's not quite as easy to skate for the older kids. I think you can skate, but you're trying to shoot on one edge. It's kind of tough. But I've had some older AAA guys come in, take some shots, work with me on their shot, and we've seen some real progress just in a short period of time.
I think it's awesome, man. I'm happy I know we've talked before and you were trying to figure out like how to be a part of the game, and I did the same thing, man. I couldn't figure out where I still fit in the game, and I know you were the same way. We had a chat there one time. I believe it's at what's the lake there?
Fisherman's Cove, was it?
Fisherman's Cove. It's like, you know, you just when you've been a hockey guy, you want it to be part of your life. You still want to be a part of it. So
well, like you mentioned in the monologue there, the WOA championships, like,
sorry, I did leave out a part of the intro that I had written down that I think I scratched it out. Was
what's that?
Played parts of 12 seasons of the WOAA loop.
Yeah, that's where I was going with that. Is that
I knew that's where you were going.
I didn't know how to hang them up. I should have done it earlier, especially if I took at least 2 years off. It's hard to come back, man. You're used to doing things, you can't do them anymore.
No kidding.
And but I still couldn't let it go. I just wanted to be a part of the team. And like you said, you don't know what to do next. And I think our kids have shown us what our next steps are.
Yeah, well, no, and that's the thing is, and you can do this with your son, and he can be there learning, and you can be in the game full go. And I am now just in a different way, but then I can also help coach and be a coach of minor hockey, and I'm still part of the game too. And I can, like I got all these buddies doing the training too. That like it's awesome. I there's so many people giving back to the game, and thank you for jumping in around here. So. Now we're going to move on we're done. Where are you now? So we're going to get into your minor hockey journey growing up in Port Elgin. Did you ever go AAA, or like, what's the journey there?
No, like kind of I mentioned earlier, I never left Port Elgin. I had guys that went and played summer hockey. in Durham. I can't remember what the summer hockey team was called, but I never did. I love baseball, so I never did that in the summer. No, just played Port Elgin minor hockey the whole time. I thought it was the biggest thing I could do, representing my town before. Now it's at the Saugeen Shores. It's amalgamated with Southampton area, but I was very proud of my town and just I know my father and his uncles and my family's been part of that community for a long time, and represented Port Elgin in different levels of hockey, intermediate, senior, over the years. So I felt very proud to put on Port Elgin jerseys, and especially when the WOA team came back. I couldn't wait to do it. But getting back to minor hockey, we had a good core group of guys that were my age that went through the whole ranks together. Guys like Tyler Smith, who became captain in Owen Sound. I would have been the toughest guy in the junior B league.
It's a good thing we got that alarm shut off in the background. Hey, geez.
Yeah,
It
neighborhood.
looks nice out back there, though.
Not too bad. I'm looking over Lake Huron, so I can't complain.
No, you can't.
And no, so we had a good Al Roach, who's always on the team, and guys that were a year younger than us that played on my second year in Pee Wee or second year Bantam were guys like Daryl McKinnon, who went on to play at Colgate. And yeah, so lo and behold, we had some good hockey players. We just didn't know it. We just loved playing hockey, and then playing road hockey and playing against each other and fighting each other, then being teammates on the ice. That's what we just love doing.
Yeah, it's the same as like my group of buddies growing up in Elmira. But now that I'm living in Concussions and this is Locals Week and you're from Port Elgin, do you know who today's other sponsor is? And I did let them know today. They didn't know that they were being a pro bono sponsor, but they are, because my favorite restaurant in Port Elgin is Allen's Fireside Grill, home of the Fireside Sticks. You guys need to try these things. They get me so hot and bothered. I just get a little carried away with the appetizer, but they are filled with their famous cheesy spinach dip baked in jalapeno pizza bread. And folks, if that doesn't get you hot and bothered, I don't know what will. But they are a family casual dining with kids menu, wine menu, and a dandy patio that I actually once was wined and dined to become a Saugeen Shore Winterhawk at one point. But welcome to the podcast sponsor family, even if you didn't know about it till today. But that's a nice restaurant. And moving on. So you were a bit of a late bloomer, but was there a bit of a rivalry with Kincardine growing up? Like, that's what I hear about.
Yeah, it was huge. Those are the games we got up for at every level, whether it was hockey, baseball. We had guys my age. We had a good bunch of guys in each town that were really good sportsmen, good hockey, good athletes all around, right? And whenever we played, it was a battle. And it's kind of like maybe like the Shelbyville Springfield thing of the Simpsons, right? Same idea, that same rivalry. Boston, Montreal, if you want to get into NHL stuff, or I guess more like Quebec and Montreal or something like that. But no, we were fiercely competitive. For some reason, all the Kincardine boys always were huge. I know them now, and they're the same size they were back in Pee Wee. So I was 120 pounds, if that, and these guys are grown ass men. And but the good thing about our little rivalry is that it never became so bad that we never became friends, because a lot of guys came from Port Elgin, Southampton, and played on the Kincardine Bulldogs, the junior C team here. And I'd come watch them. We became friends. We became friends with all the guys from Kincardine. And then when I moved here from Port Elgin about 10 years ago with my wife, Sammy, those guys brought me in and made me feel like I grew up in Kincardine. That's how close we were and respected each town's players so much. Even though we did battle a lot on the ice and on the baseball field.
Oh yeah, but that's healthy competition, right?
Yeah.
That's what makes people better, is like myself growing up with 4 or 5 guys that kind of like at least got OHL and CAA. Like when you grow up with guys like that, like you push each other and you don't realize you're doing it. You don't realize, like, it's like when you see the kids in minor hockey now, that like which kids actually get pissed off that they lose and which kids don't. Like the kids that don't, we'll see where you're at in 4 years, kids.
Yeah, you gotta have that fire if you want to keep improving, right? And sometimes it's some kids can hold in there, but I was not that kid. That is
Well,
for sure.
I saw you play senior A at about 40 years old, and you still had the juices flowing, big guy.
Yeah, well, when you're the smallest guy in the ice, you gotta, have a big stick, right?
Well, you know what? There's some small guys that play differently than you, Ryan. But you did score a lot, so why don't we get into that part of it? Is like, when did you start really scoring goals? Because I saw you were late to the junior B party. You didn't start till what age?
17.
Oh, that's not that
Uh,
bad.
no, it would have been my second year of midget. So for the guys that were really good, like they usually got in there before, but I know my time, you had to be really, really good. And I was never blessed with speed, size. I didn't have a wicked shot or anything. What I did was I thought the game, that was the only thing I could do well. I tried to outsmart everybody with subtle stuff, wasn't deking anybody out or anything, but I just had to play smarter than everybody else to do well. And I think that's hard for scouts, especially junior scouts who aren't even pro scouts really aren't that experienced, right? You have to watch guy for a long time to understand that.
Oh, yeah, no, and that's the thing is if you just, I talked about it on another episode. I think it was with the Devils owner, but like it's when you're a smart player, for a scout to notice you when they show up to a hockey game, they don't just they're not just going to notice you. It's not like you're the guy that skates really fast, blows by everybody,
Yep.
and cuts to the net. Like when you're just smart, like it's the end of the game, you don't even know the guy was out there, and then it would be like in junior B. Like I didn't really know who you were. I saw the stats, and I'm like, we'd play you, and I'd be like, which guy was it? And then you'd have 5 points at the end of the night.
Yeah, no, I think that's something I wanted. I think that's a hallmark of a good player. If you just, like you said, you look at the stat sheet and you go, that guy killed us after the game. I didn't even notice him. And just like, death by 1,000 cuts kind of an angle. And I think that's how I had to play. I know I've had guys on my teams over in different levels that were amazing hockey players when you'd watch them in practice. Like
Oh yeah.
unbelievable, like 5 tools, right? Whole everything. And you're like, oh my God, this guy is unbelievable. But then you put that same guy in a game situation and he's useless.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And yeah, no, I found back to the goal scoring, like I don't know what it was. I think I was a good hockey player all through minor hockey. I was always one of the better players. I just finally found where to shoot. I scored 1,000,000 goals, blocker low, and 5-hole and top corner glove, and or especially blocker low. I don't know. I just all came to me at one point. I had all the confidence in the world what to do.
And which age is this at when this starts?
It probably was. What really got me all fired up was we went to. I'm gonna throw St. Mary's Lincoln's junior B team out of the bus here, but we went down there for a summer skate, a rookie camp, and it was me and Kirk Pat and Ty Smith and a buddy of ours from Port had played there the previous year, and we went there, and we were in 16, and we just dominated the rookie camp, like just dominated. It wasn't even fun. Like we were just do whatever we want, and Kirk was a good player. He had played junior B at 16, maybe even 15. He was that good at a young age. And we went down there, dominated. And we're like, okay, they're obviously going to invite us back to the training camp. Like there was nobody near us. And they didn't even talk to us after the thing. I remember somehow we got a case of kokanee at that age. And we drove back to Port Elgin in Kirk's van. So that's from like, what are these guys looking for? Like they're the last place team in the league in that loop. Like, what are these guys looking for? And then that year, I believe we went to Owen Sound Grays camp, and
you had a chip on your shoulder.
a chip on my shoulder, and I don't know. I just figured out how to score, I guess.
It's all getting comfortable too, and I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure you probably would have had like 59 goals, eh? When I saw that today, that kind of hurt my heart because I had 57.
I think I had 61 just for the record, but who's counting?
Well, elite prospects is counting, and sir, you had 59. Good
I
luck.
know. 60 sounds a little better though.
Good luck trying to get that last one to 60.
I like my birthday's wrong there too. So
Oh yeah, are you only 32? You ready for a comeback or what?
no, I was born in Port. No, I don't want to sound it. I was born on the 2nd on the 21st. Come on.
Jeez.
No, yeah, no, it was good. I love scoring goals, especially at that age.
Oh yeah, isn't it fun in junior when I did it with Elmira, you had been doing it with Owen Sound, like
Yeah,
like when you're that age and you love hockey so much and then you do start excelling, like it is pretty special experience, isn't it?
it is. It's fun to get see yourself on the in the newspaper. It's fun to see, even though you could be as modest as you want, you still like it. Um,
And when you
it,
grew up seeing other people's names and you're like, geez, wouldn't that be cool?
yeah, you wake up, you hear your name on the radio before school, and he's Ryan Dudgeon with a hat trick last night against the Elmira Sugar Kings.
Doubt it.
Brent Walton -3. Yeah, I love hearing that on the radios
I
after.
would have never got on the ice with you. I wouldn't have got a shift against you. I was like 16, man.
Yeah. No, so no, goal scoring was fun, and I wish I could keep doing it as I got older. But the funny stats about me in junior or even into WOA stuff was I lead the team in scoring, but also lead the team in penalty minutes. So I don't. I
Well,
actually
that comes into one of my notes on the opening was you have one of hockey's greatest spirits. Like I've seen it just a couple times where you can really get things rocking in a game. But you just have so much passion for the game, and you sometimes it gets the better of you, and you just need to bury it in someone's nuts. Eh?
yeah. Well, I took enough hits in my day. I think I owe a few people something. You know what though? To my credit, I would back it up with drop the gloves. I wasn't that guy that would never fight. A lot of those penalty minutes were 5-minute majors, and so there was some backing it up there. I just didn't do it and run. Yeah, I had some guys on my team that would cover for me when the real big boys had to show it up, but I took a few knuckles to the face because of my exploits.
Oh, that's you know what, that stuff happens. I got punched in the top of the head a lot. I would try and just skate towards them, keep my head in their armpits so they couldn't hit my face. I'd just let them hit the top of my head. But I got beat up a bunch too. But um, okay. So were there any other schools interested? So I think now we're getting near the end of junior B. You guys didn't win it in junior B, right?
No, we did well. We lost to Cambridge in the final, our last year that we were there. That was an awesome series. A couple guys from Cambridge went on to play NCAA hockey. Mike
We lost
Carter.
to them in the semis. Yeah.
Yeah, they're really good, really fast, and we just didn't have the depth like they did. They did unbelievable.
Paul Davies that went to Western
Paul
Michigan
Davies,
with me
yeah,
was
that's
on
right.
that team. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, we just didn't have the depth. And Jaron Harriman was on that team. He went to Northeastern the year after I got there. He would have been on that team as well. So they had a really good team just on those guys alone. Plus their depth was unbelievable. And for the most part, we just had a couple lines and a deep pairing that we just couldn't match up with them. But we held in there as long as we could. That's for sure.
Okay. Next question is I want to know if there are any other schools interested or why Northeastern, like, because I think when you scored 59, right? Like your last year at junior B, right?
Yeah.
Like that was it. So if you didn't get a scholarship that year, that's it. And there's not many guys that wait that long, right? To like, I guess in other places, like the guys where I was playing in Elmira, they would start going to universities, right? Like in Waterloo, Laurier.
Yep.
But like for you to stick it out and actually get a scholarship, man, congratulations. That's well done. And 59 goals as a 20-year-old. So what other schools are interested? Sorry, 61 goals, right? 61.
Yeah, asterisk, right? At 61.
And you're 32.
That's right. You're getting it all right now.
Sorry.
The other schools, you know what? I can't really recall. I don't think I have the books, the programs that they sent me overall now, but I remember Bowling Green contacted me. I think Western Michigan was a front runner at one point. And but I really had my heart set on going to a Boston school, and to get on Boston University or Boston College was really, really difficult because they bring in the elites, like the elites.
Yeah, you're not. Yeah.
So I knew that was going to be very, very hard. And Northeastern at the time was not one of the top teams in Hockey East like they are now. They're a perennial favorite right now in Hockey East, and they've been ranked. We were ranked. We were there. We beat off number 1 seeds, and but no, we just didn't have the horsepower like those schools did. But no, when it came back to recruiting, yeah, Western Michigan was there. I remember Alabama Huntsville. They're just getting started. And I remember kind of the neat ones. Wayne State out of Detroit.
Yeah.
Something like that. I remember them talking to me.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Because if you're, yeah, the rest of them would have to be serious. I only remember the two that got serious, really, like really
Yeah.
serious, which was Northeastern and Western Michigan. But then
Yeah.
that was before my big year. That was like a year and a half before I went. And but I want to
Yeah.
know now, because you did go to a Boston school and you went to
Yeah.
one of the four schools that would have played in the Bean Pot.
That's
Did you
right.
play in that sucker? How was that?
That was an awesome experience.
That was their big selling point when I went there. They took
Yep.
me I didn't get it because they took me to this is sorry, I'm not to get off track here,
Okay.
but when I went there on a recruiting trip, they took me to Fenway to show me the stadium. And I'm like, wow, this is really cool. And they're like, well, you could come here all the time. But then they took me to the Bruins rink and they're like, well, you'd play a game here or two games here a year. And I was like,
Yep.
well, that's cool, but whatever. Like it's just two games. But I guess the Bean Pot is like a big, big, big deal, eh?
It is a big deal. It's an annual event held first 2 weeks of February. I guess so. It's Harvard, Boston University, Boston College, and Northeastern, where I went. And what they do is they play a game on a Monday night, two games on first Monday night of February, and the winners of those two games play in the finals of the Bean Pot. And it's for bragging rights for the Boston area schools. That goes back when I was there. They played the 50th anniversary when I was there, and we were in the finals that year against Boston University. And you know what? It's a blast because people get tickets to come in. They come home for the week just to get into the stadium. 20,000 people. Bands. They got 4 bands playing of all the schools, and the crowds are fun and they're loud. You know, it's on Nesson. It was our national championship because we knew we weren't going to win a national championship. It's so hard, even if we had an unbelievable team.
But you could win the Bean Pot, yeah.
But if we won the Bean Pot, especially Northeastern, we hadn't won it since 1982 when I was there, or 1985, sorry. And now they've won a couple the last few years. But like if we had won the Bean Pot, we would have been heroes. But it would have been just an equivalent of winning a national championship. And now,
well, to beat Boston University and Boston College back then, like if you'd have to beat those two teams back to back, that basically is like what it. Yeah, that's a tough road.
Yeah, it's like guys like Brian Gianna would have been on Boston College at the time. Like Howard, the goalie on I can't think of the guys on BU so much, but like if you go back and look at their rosters, you like NHL, NHL. You know what I mean? It's just one after another. Where we just had a couple of NHLers sprinkled in there. But no, it was a blast. And my little claim to fame on this one is they set up a 50th anniversary DVD special of the history of the Bean Pot. I can still remember. So let's picture me with a mullet. I got a mullet. I'm in the boroughs
of a mullet in college.
Oh, I had an awesome mullet, buddy. I had a website talking about my mullet. I had signs when I go to away games, making fun of me.
Really?
Yeah, it was awesome.
Like, did you have like the shaved 3 lines on the side, or were you straight shaved?
No, I just had huge flow, like really? Long hair. And, huge curly flow. Jeez. It was awesome. And so I'm sitting there, and the DVD came out. I still remember sitting down there. I'm taping the knob of my new stick for the game, and I got my hockey hair. I got a toothpick in my mouth, taping the knob of my stick like this. I still remember the cameras being there. I'm like, there's no way that's going to be on their little show. And lo and behold, the DVD comes out. There's me, little Canadian kid with a big old hairdo and a toothpick in his mouth, taping the knob of his stick. I'm like, geez, that's me. There you go.
On the 50th anniversary.
Yeah. So, hey, I scored in that. I scored against Harvard in the semifinals. So that's a really bad goal, but it all counts, right?
They all count. Doesn't matter how they go.
So I'm in the book.
Even if they're 59 or 61, right?
That's right. They weren't all pretty.
No, not the 60th. Okay. But Northeastern does, what I remember from that recruiting trip was their arena was incredible. Like what a sick barn, as the kids would say, right?
Yeah. It's the oldest operating arena in North America.
Was it not the old Bruins, like before the Gardens?
Before the Bruins, even. It was, definitely before the Gardens. That's the original Boston Braves would have played there, I think. No, maybe that was back. Anyway, it's that old. It's before Boston Gardens got built. That's where the Bruins played. Old fighters like Jack Dempsey would have fought in there. Like that was in the north. That was awesome. That was the big arena, right, for all sporting events. There would have been conventions there, political conventions there. Oh, that was like, yeah, that was the big spot. And it turned into Matthews Arena. Northeastern took it over, retrofitted it. They've done an even better job now since I've been gone. Put in big jumbotrons and stuff like that. But no, it's cool. It's that old style, where the top bowl hangs right over the ice, like you see in those old buildings, and the big high A-frame ceiling with the wood. And it was an incredible place, especially when it was, our rivals in town coming to play, because it was packed. Like I said, the cool thing about college hockey, like, there's bands playing, student sections, and it would just get rocking in there. It'd be nice and loud, and a whole lot of fun.
I would have to say, after listening to that story and how they've made that rink even better and how old it is I really think that I personally wish there would be no more new rinks built in hockey. I wish they would fix the ones they have in every league to make them better, because
Yep.
the rinks with character, the rinks that aren't just cookie cutter, look at what we just built with all
Yeah.
their fancy shit. It's like, I guess it's like me having a podcast in my shed just on Zoom on my computer. It's like, I don't know. I want the rinks with character. I don't want you to build more new rinks where they're half full most of the time. In some of these places, it's dead. You don't feel like playing hockey. Instead, I'd rather be in the place with character that's packed. People love it, and
Mhm.
every player loves playing in it, right?
Yeah, and I think I got to play in the old rinks in the Hockey East Conference, Boston University in Maine, before they got their new rinks, and they're small.
I
Um,
played in Maine. That was one
it
of
was
my
awesome.
favorite experiences ever.
Yeah,
Oh,
it was fun. It was a super small rink, and if you remember, do you remember the glass you got hit? I would have got hit a lot, and you get hit in the glass, and the glass would pretty much bend on a 45-degree angle, and it was really low. It was high glass. It was low, like it was on your hip when you got hit, and the glass would go right into the crowd and swing you right back out.
see, I remember in warm-ups, there was the band playing like right above
Mhm.
the goalie, right? So like if
Mhm.
you rang it off the crossbar, you could perhaps hit one of their band members,
Take out the
right?
trombone player.
Perhaps, like not, but like not that I would do that, but like I just remember that there'd be pucks flying at them and they're trying to play their tubas or whatever. It was wild in that rink.
No, it was fun. I know when you talk about cookie cutters, like one thing I think I wish the NHL would do, which makes college hockey kind of cool, is that every rink you go to is unique, because in college hockey you can play on you go one rink where it's an Olympic size ice surface, one you can go inside hybrid European, Finland, Sweden size, or you can come to an even smaller rink, an NHL rink, or even smaller. I wish the NHL would just let teams pick their own rink size, and they can make their team how they want to based on the rink they play at half the year. I think that'd be cool.
It makes things way more exciting.
It'd be just different, right?
That's what every league I played in was like. That was second league Germany.
Yeah.
That was the UK league.
Well,
That,
there'd be
like,
somebody out. One would be outside, one would be inside.
oh yeah, and there'd be some fresh air rinks.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was wild, and like it was that's was fun. Like you could show up and your water bottles freeze and you can't drink
Yeah.
water for the whole game, and you're like, this is pretty interesting. Like this is something we have to adapt to.
Yeah. See, I
Instead,
drank the Luvine in those games.
well, the fans would have to, because they'd be topless with flags and drums, and they'd have to drink the Glühwein to stay warm, right? Because they'd be topless.
Yeah.
So where are we here? So we got sidetracked, I think. We were at the Bean Pot, this cool rink, and then we got sidetracked. So I saw you were only there for 3 years,
Yep.
which usually is 4 years. And then I saw basically no hockey from 03 to 05. So what all transpired there? I'm going to go pee while you tell me that one.
Oh, thanks for the visual. I talk. No, so after my fourth year, it was I came to an agreement with our coaching staff that I was going to sit out my final year and focus on school, and I accepted that, and we went on and parted ways. I stuck around Northeastern, stayed with my buddies there, and finished school, which was a blast. was actually a kind of a neat experience to go to a national, American university and just focus on being a student. And it was kind of unique that it was different because I didn't have to focus on going to practice, going to and balancing practice in school, where I could focus on writing a thesis without having to worry about school. So I don't know how much you heard of that, Brent. Hear any of that?
I was peeing.
Yeah. So trying to follow up. And so what I was saying was after my third year there, we kind of came to agree with my coaching staff that we're going to part ways. And I kept my scholarship and I just finished out my schooling for my final year. Unfortunately, our team wasn't very good.
Did you ever think of transferring? Did you bring that up?
I did. I thought about it. I contacted one school. They're somewhat interested, but you know what? I wanted to finish off my schooling. I love
Northeastern's a good school too, right?
Yeah, it's a top 50 private school in the US for universities.
Yeah, I remember they were hot on me there. Jeez.
And so I didn't want to leave. I met lifelong friends there and still are. And so I didn't want to leave, and I still stayed with them. I still went and watched the games. And like I said, I focused on my school my last year, and it was really a neat experience just to be a student as opposed to a student athlete. I had met some new friends that I never would have met before, and gained some new experiences. Just kind of separating myself from the hockey scene a little bit.
You know what? When you're a hockey player for 4 years at college, university, or what USA universities, like when you get to see like at Western Michigan, or Western Michigan, like when you got to see what all the other students were doing and everybody was having fun and everybody was like, there would be a school football game, we couldn't go. There would be a huge whatever game, you couldn't go. And that you were always busy and everybody was always doing things. And really, you only are in your little pack and your little tribe, and you don't really know what the other students are doing. And it is very different than most college students live. And by the fourth year, you're kind of like, what would
I was burned out. I was burned out. I was frustrated with hockey. It became a job. Like, I know you hear this all the time. Yeah, they gave me schooling, but like it became a job. And I wasn't having fun. Going to the rink. It's looking back on it now, I'm sad that I wasn't having fun. I didn't stick it out, but I gained some good experiences from it.
And you got to be happy in life, I think. And like I've seen, I've been through it, like with knee injuries or sometimes, and like things that happen and you just really aren't happy. And like, if you're not playing and you have zero chance with the coaching staff and you don't feel like part of it, why would you, like, if you have zero chance, like, and that, and they're showing you that, like back when coaches used to be that way, they would let you know straight to your face, I'm done with you, right?
Yeah.
That's the way it was.
Cutthroat. Maybe it was a good lesson. Maybe it was a good lesson for me to learn as well. So yeah, that gap that you mentioned, 2 years, that was my last year of schooling. And then I came back and I was frustrated with hockey, and I needed those 2 years to kind of step away. And then 2 years later, my line mates from the Netherlands Grays, Adam Mitchell and Daryl McKinnon, who were playing on Colgate, they finished up their schooling the year after I was done, and they're going to go play pro in Europe. So I'm like, you know what? I wanted the same thing. So we got that rolling, and I got back in the gym. I got hockey out on my mind again, and I was loving it. It's first time I ever enjoyed weightlifting. And I had a goal to get back and play, and I wanted to go play in Europe with those guys. And I'm sure we'll get into it here, but that's what sent me to the Netherlands. And those two guys went on to play in Germany, which.
Yeah. So we are getting into that right now. That's where we're at. So how do you get to, if you haven't played, how did you get to because I like pronouncing names on this, okay? How did you get to the Groningen of the Netherlands?
I believe it's Groningen. No, I guess
it's Groningen.
Groningen.
What?
Groningen. The Dutch have a weird way of talking. You need more throat, I think. You need more
Oh,
throat.
well, that looks like a German name. I thought it just rolled right
Well,
off
it's
my
really,
tongue.
well, it's pretty close, probably like an hour away from the border. So
Well, fair enough. So the Gidges
Right,
of
say
Groningen.
Groningen Grizzlies, I believe they're called.
Oh, the Grizzlies. Okay,
Yeah.
fair enough. So how do you get there?
Um, a little foggy in how I got there, but I think that so Jim McCoury would have
That's
been.
where you start the season,
I'm in Northern Holland,
and
which
that's
is
how you get back to hockey. So how do you get
yeah.
back into hockey? How do you get there?
So what happened was I played a half season in the WOA league with Lucknow. The first team was the Lucknow Lancers, which is a farm town in the area.
Shout out to Bobby Raymond, episode 33.
Oh, there you go. There you go. A lot of beauties. Russell Sutton, the team captain from Lucknow, just texted me today, actually. Anyway, so I played a half season there, had a blast. There's a lot of good hockey players that showed up there and played in this little farm town, and their fans were amazing. We had Mennonites there watching the games. They travel on the road in a cart and buggy and a horse.
Were you guys good?
And we were good. Yeah, we were a good team.
And the Mennonites would like actually travel. Like how far would they travel? Because
they
take a while.
Oh yeah, like we go up to like Durham, which is like people don't know, be like another like an hour and a half, or Shelburne, like 2 hours. They'd start in the morning on their horse and buggy.
No.
Yeah.
How many of them?
I don't know. There's a couple
like hardcore.
Yeah, a couple young kids. But they're hardcore. It was awesome. And we just have a blast after the games. And that got me back into it.
And Sugar Kings had some good fans like that too, but I don't think they traveled.
Well, you had the Mennonites around there, those parts.
Oh yeah, no, they would always be at the home games, but I don't remember them being traveling. I don't.
Well, maybe we just got the right ones there. I'd have to ask my Lucknow boys who they would have been if I believe those stories are pretty true. I'm pretty sure I recall this, and and just for a silly WOA game, but we took it really seriously, and we took partying after really seriously after. So it was a lot of fun on the ice. We played hard. That was when guys, you could fight in the WOA league and just get 5 minutes, sit in the penalty box. So that was kind of cool. I never experienced that until then. And
Ryan, you're like 150 pounds, man.
Yeah, well, I could hold my own. I didn't win many fights, but I didn't lose many either, right?
You're an animal.
And no, so playing there it got me going again. And then, like I said, when those other two guys from Colgate, Daryl and Adam, came back to town, they got me thinking about playing again, seriously. And so Jim McCurby, who's my GM in Owen Sound, my last year, had a contact over in Germany for a guy named Rob Service, who runs an academy now, hockey academy school, a private school for hockey out of Windsor. And he hooked me up with a place in Groningen for that following year. And I remember flying over there, flew us over first class. Like this is just a nothing league, really. And they flew me over first class. I remember sitting there with the guy that was coming over from Timmins with me, and I'm sipping Ryan Waters because it was a red eye flight. And I went there, had a blast. Meeting the Dutch guys, they were sweet. Like they're so nice. They're so welcoming to have us come and play with them.
How many imports are on a team in that league?
I think you're allowed 5, but this team put all their money into their imports, and I think we started with maybe 3. And no, they ended up being really good guys. All the guys in the Netherlands were awesome. They all spoke English, like better than I did. And we had a blast. And so I spent a few months there.
Can I ask a question? Just because
sure
throughout the podcast, I think people have realized I like food, and I like cooking food, and I like knowing about it. So what kind of foods in the Netherlands? What, like,
no idea.
You really?
No idea. It's funny. People have asked me that before, and I brought it up before. If somebody were to say what a Dutch dish is, no idea. I have no clue what their food is. The only thing I remember about food being odd there was that if you went to their local, it wasn't called McDonald's, but it was equivalent of McDonald's in the Netherlands, you got mayonnaise instead of ketchup for your French fries. You had to pay for ketchup. That's all. That's the only thing I remember. And there's no Dutch food.
Oh, I was there over there long enough to know that like they love the mayo
Mm,
and the ketchup on fries. They're not just stuck to ketchup over there, folks.
yeah.
Around Canada, the and the UK, these folks in Germany, Netherlands, they are dipping fries in mayonnaise, folks, and they're all skinny. I don't get it.
No,
Go ahead. Maybe it's because of they're all the bikes are in bike stands
oh,
instead of cars.
that is true though. Like I remember going down to their train station in Groningen for the first time, like right down their town square. The train station's right there, and I walk in, and it's not a bike rack here and there. There's so many bikes. They have to pile them on top of each other in a stack. There's like thousands of bikes in this small area.
Well,
And
there's got to be like bike etiquette, right? Because there's got to be like a certain way to lock up your bike and set it there so everybody knows that's your bike, but they're
yeah,
everybody else's bikes, and you can get your bike out when it's time.
oh
Like there is bikes everywhere.
yeah, like they're just not on the ground. Like I said, they're stacked on each other. And the funniest thing that I remember most is just walking around downtown and watching people on their bikes. There's couples riding down the road, holding hands, each on a bike. You got a mother with two kids and groceries all on one bike. Three, so two
And
kids,
yeah, there are
and their
different
groceries,
versions of
and they're going.
bikes.
And it's like I don't know how they do this.
Wow. Like, yeah, no, like they'll be the 3-seaters, the 2-seaters, like
Uh-huh.
they're biking everywhere. It don't matter where they're going, folks. So I did see you so you got an opportunity. You went there. You
Yeah,
showed you could still play. I saw that on the stats. You showed you could play. And then I saw you went to. So you're not done that season. You're back in
yeah,
hockey. You're not done. And halfway through the year in the Netherlands, we'll move on since you don't know
yep.
about the food, is you go
Sorry
to
for
the
that.
EV Landsberg 5000s.
Yes, sir. Yeah. So what happened there was Adam Mitchell, who I mentioned earlier, was on my junior B. He was on my
Can
wing.
I mention how I know Adam Mitchell?
You sure can.
I played against him for the Owen Sound Grays. I played
right.
against him at Colgate. I played
Mhm.
against him in Landsberg.
Mm-hmm.
And then their team went bankrupt, and I'm playing in Landsuit, and their team goes bankrupt, and their imports all get jobs in the first league, and we're all sitting in the second league having great years, but their team goes bankrupt, so their contracts are over. First league signs these fellas. They all go up and show they can actually play, and they all could. I know Adam Mitchell
Yep.
could. I know Daryl McKinnon could. I know Steve Silverthorne could, the goalie
Yep.
there that played in Schwenningen all the time. That would bother me. Like all those Owen Sound boys could play, and yeah, it like you guys did have a good group around there, players, and I know them well. I played against them everywhere. I played against Silverthorne everywhere. I played against Mitchell and McKinnon. Like literally everywhere we went, it was a full grind. But when I see them at the Bruce now, we say hi, we chat about all the battles we had, and it's like you said, it's like we were just competing.
And that's what's neat about it. I had not like those two guys you mentioned, Steve. Like he talked about late bloomers. Steve Silverthorne, a goalie, like he wasn't our starting goalie my last year in junior B in the Owen Sound Grays. Like he was good, but he wasn't. He went on playing AHL, be a good AHLer, and
Oh, the second league German. If you're a second league German goalie, if you're an
yeah,
import goalie in Europe, you're
yeah,
good.
yeah,
You're high end if you're an import goalie in Europe. There are so many
yeah,
goalies.
yeah, yeah. So the whole Owen Sound Gray team from the late '90s was just a bunch of late bloomers, and with Steve and Daryl McKinnon and Adam Mitchell, like we just all of a sudden kind of clicked there late, and Bobby Raymond followed suit thereafter. I don't think he was much of a late bloomer. He was always kind of good, but um,
No, he didn't get. Well, he played Lucknow minor hockey the whole way. But what I wanted to get into is like you're in Landsberg. I've played in that arena,
yeah,
small little rink. The away dressing room was the first time I went there was like it was like where you would change to put your figure skates on and off for
Oh, is
renting
that
the
right?
ice,
Is that
right?
right?
And I sat on these benches where there was no stalls or nothing, right? I've been in
Yeah.
that
Okay.
arena. Is that not right?
Yeah. No, it was very small. Our dressing room was nothing to brag about. That's for sure. Like I walked in there and you could not get by. Like we had a stall right in the middle, all the way around. Like you had to like walk over stuff, walk by, like squeeze by people just to get in there. Like there was no room, but it was awesome once you got in there.
Oh,
Like
great time.
it was like I say, it was unique. It was a blast. Like, you couldn't have your hockey bag there and your stuff. Like, there's no room to have a hockey bag on the floor. There is no room. That's the home dressing room. So I never saw the away dressing room. Like I couldn't imagine.
No, actually, I think now that my brain's firing here about that arena is I think I stayed in a different away locker room with each team. I think Hellbron stayed in a place, Beatingham stayed in a place, and there was one that was a real room where there was no room like you're saying, and Beatingham stayed like literally the the benches that were like where you would take your skates on and off to
Yeah.
rent the figure skates. But anyways,
Yeah, it was a cool rink.
quite
It was a cool
cool
rink.
place, eh?
Yeah, no, no, so how I got there was so about halfway through the season in Groningen in the Netherlands, um, one of the imports that was on the Landsberg team decided to go home. So they're scrambling, they're just getting into their second part of their season. So I think when you played there, did they do like first half of the season? And if you were in the top half, you went on to the second half of the season kind of a thing?
No, that would probably be the Oberliga. That'd be the third league. I didn't play in that league.
No. Okay. So they did like, so I showed up in the second half. So like the top teams, I never played the bottom half of the league. I
Right.
just played the top
And
half.
that'd be a totally different game. Those are the
Yeah.
10-point games. Yep.
Yeah. So I showed up in the last half, and like I said, the reason why I showed up there was that they lost one of their imports late in midway through the season, and so Adam Mitchell was playing for Landsberg, and I'd been talking to him, and I had visited over there over at Christmas break, and so I got to meet their coach and their / general manager, who was a Canadian, and when that spot opened up, they called me and said, "Hey, do you mind hopping on a train and coming down?" Because I had one thing I put into my contract in the Netherlands was if I was able to move up a division, I could just leave, and they couldn't hold me back. All they had to do is get reimbursed for their plane tickets. So that was that's all we needed. And that was one of the greatest experiences of my life, to be honest with you. Taking a train from Northern Holland to Southern Germany. So Landsberg's in Southern Germany in Bavaria, right? So it's southwest of Munich.
Yeah.
And that day it started at like 6 a.m. on a train in Northern Holland, and I ended up in southern Germany by nightfall. And that was something else, with my hockey bag, my suitcase, my hockey sticks, and just going from train to train. People looking at you weird because you had all this hockey equipment, and you had to leave it at the front because
And you're going from the Netherlands.
Yeah. So that was it was like I said, it started at 6. I got there at like 9 at night, and it picked me up at the train station in Landsberg, and we went out to an Italian restaurant there, and it's still Salvatore's is called. It's still my favorite restaurant I've ever been to. We went and ate there every week. The guy was awesome. And
So, okay.
awesome
So
meals.
now I get it.
There's the food for you.
Now I get it. Now I get it. Now I get it. The Netherlands food sucks because when I went overseas, the first restaurant I went to, I'll never forget it. Luigi's in land suit, like this Italian fella was making everything fresh. He was
Yep.
from Italy. The whole
Yep.
family was running the place. It had the pizza oven. They were making everything from scratch, and I went there. They treated me like family.
Yep.
And then next thing you know, I ate there, I think at least once a week the rest of the season. And
Totally.
it was the people you meet and the food you eat. You're just like, holy crap, I could never go anywhere else.
No, I still remember that meal, like sitting there, all the executives showed up, the owners, the management all showed up to greet me. And obviously the guys I knew showed up as well. And it was just an awesome feast. It was the first time I ever had, what do you call it when it's all the meat tray? You put like the olive oil and the balsamic vinegar on it.
Oh dear. Don't talk dirty on the pod, okay?
I know it was so good. It's the first time I ever had it with the fresh.
What's the difference
Oh.
with their olive oil and their balsamic? Like it just, yeah, I don't know. It's just different, right? And then you dip it in the bread, and it's just like,
exactly.
Jesus.
And so he did the whole. I remember this guy did the whole thing with the lemon juice squeezing. He did. There's a whole show. They just didn't bring it out. It was a show, and yeah, no, I still eat that stuff just because of there. So there's the food. We came around at the food.
Okay, finally, we're out of the Netherlands. So, well, Netherlands, you'll have to figure out what you're doing. But I totally get it, man. When I hit Germany, and you got the German food, you got the Italian food, you got well, I don't want to get into the Turkish food because geez, talked about it too much on the pod. But doner kebabs changed my life and my career.
That's yeah. So that's one thing I never had until I got to Landsberg was a kebab, and they were pretty.
Oh my god, I drove by them for like 3-4 months, not really knowing what was happening.
But they're like every block.
Like, what is that? The meat spinning around on the stick. But then when you finally go there and you finally have like you finally are like, okay, you know what? I'm from Canada, but I can actually go up and order this. I go up and I order it, and they give it to me. And I ate it, and it changed my life.
I get it. I understand. I'll leave it there.
Fair enough. Okay. But you guys won it. So you guys are in the first part of it, and I'm pretty okay. I don't know if you won it. That's the part I don't get. Is
no, we won
in the Oberliga. There not 4 leagues, so you won it from all of them.
Yeah. So yeah, we won the whole thing. So it's a weird ending. So who do we play or who we played? We were playing, I think you played in Hanover, right? So we played Hanover Indians at one point. And that's who we played in the finals, Hanover Indians. And they had an awesome rink. Tell you that.
Cool rink. I never had one good game there. Not one good game there.
Oh, I loved it. I still remember the first time I went there. You show up in the you're in the I remember being in the hallway and looking out, and it's pitch black in there. What are they doing? It's pitch black. All of a sudden, you think DJ Tiesto showed up there? The dance music's going, the DJ's yelling and screaming. I look out, there's a totem pole on fire out there, and with full of flames. I'm like, holy moly! So we get out there, and the lasers were flying around. There's a totem pole on fire. We're skating around the ice in the pitch black. It was an awesome place to play. I loved it. And it was outdoor rinks. It's one of those outdoor rinks too, right? Or open walled.
Open walled. Yeah, no, it was a cool rink. And I know if I was playing a home game there, I would have loved it. But when I was playing an away game there, yeah, I couldn't do it. The
only thing I didn't like about that arena was that the benches in the change room were too tall.
I think
you were dangling. It was a little tight.
I bet you I played 8 games there. I never scored a goal, and it was a cool rink, man. And that hurts me because that's one of the rinks you can't tear that thing down. You cannot put up a cookie cutter rink when you got rinks like that in the world. Because this stuff I watch the NHL in, I know there's no fans, and it would be totally different if there was fans. But you see it all covered off, and they're all just playing. And I'm trying, folks. I'm trying to watch the games. I am. Yeah. I've even only scheduled 2 podcasts a week still because I like it so much. But like, I'm trying to watch the games, you know?
Yeah, no, and you can't even tell. I find myself watching the American teams in the playoffs because they have the fans, right? It's just more fun, more atmosphere. It's real. It's not the fake fans that they have on the
It's
North.
Not like practice. It's not like practice.
Yeah.
I know it's not practice to these guys, and I get that. But
when they're
it's the cookie cutter rink, and there's no fans, right?
Yeah, we play a men's league tournament, and we're still trying to win. So I can't imagine these guys. They're doing the same thing. I don't want to lose in a men's league tournament.
No, and they're the same thing, but they feel like it. Yeah, they feel like it because there's not 30,000 people screaming and whatever, right? Yeah, it's not the same.
Yeah, so we ended up winning the Oberliga in Landsberg, and what a blast that was. Final game, the rubber match game in the finals went to a shootout, and
you won it on a shootout?
It was a 1-out in a shootout. We played the overtime. I remember I had a great chance in the slot. I had a picture of my taking an awful slap shot, missed the net. I just at that point, that's what.
Did you say you took a slap shot on the breakaway?
No, well, it wasn't quite a breakaway. As I picked the pass off in the air in the top of the slot, and I couldn't quite get to the net, so I took off. I have an awful slap shot. I shouldn't take a slap shot.
Oh, sorry. I thought you said you took I thought in a shootout to
No,
win
no,
it.
no, no, no. So this is an overtime. And so the funny thing about those leagues was like I was scrambling for sticks at this point. This is in April, right? I
Oh
was using
yeah.
I was using my buddy's sticks I was playing in Gloucester C, Eric Orlick, who I'd play with in Northeastern. I was using his broken mission sticks and putting a blade in the end where the knob would go. That's how desperate I was for a stick. You just can't go to a hockey life over in Germany and grab your stick, right? So I'm using one piece sticks that were broken in the blades and putting the a replacement blade in the butt end of the stick and using it in a semi-professional hockey game. Like in the finals, like what am I doing? Because I couldn't find any of the sticks. And yeah, so that game ended up
It is real though. That's what happens over there. Like
yeah.
it's I know way more stories of that, but like because I didn't experience it. I don't remember them, but I know it was happening to my teammates. And
Yeah.
like the way we lived playing overseas, like your experience in the Oberliga was that. Mine in the second league is like a little better with sticks, but not much. Where like
Yeah.
one team would pay for good sticks and one team wouldn't, and you're like,
Yeah.
well, why do you think this team's better than you every year? It's because they pay for sticks. Do you
Yeah.
think the carpenters have the good hammers?
Yeah.
like, do you, like what? Like you need the tools to be good. Like
Yeah.
if they're
Exactly.
making the good sticks, maybe you should be able to shoot a top corner.
Yeah, no, it was funny because when I first got there, I didn't have any sticks, and I drove around with the equipment manager who couldn't speak English. We drove around southern Germany trying to find a stick for me. And I just got we brought home like 5 sticks, just anything we could find. It was just. I didn't go get I wasn't like, oh, what lie do you like? What curve do you like? What brand do you like? No, I was like, can we find a stick for you? And we just brought home 5 different sticks, and then by that, all those had broken at one point. And yeah, I ended up
Different curves.
different curves, different brands, different everything. Yeah.
And this is in the finals.
Oh, I mean, yeah. Like I said, I'm using a broken one piece stick with a blade in the one end where the knob would go. And I'd cut off where the blade was broke. That's how desperate I was for it. So I could at least use a curve that I liked.
No, and then the only reason I think I excelled in Europe when I first got over there was that I was going so soon after Western Michigan that they had given me really good sticks all through college because universities make a crazy amount of money um, giving people scholarships and not actually paying for anything.
Mhm.
Um, and then these pro teams that actually have to pay people, um, like they don't have the same stuff. So
Yeah.
then I went to pro and I'm not allowed to use my own sticks because I'm in the AHL in the East Coast and you can't use Bauer sticks. So then you can't use them the whole year. So you use these shitty sticks and you suck. You're
Yeah.
brutal because you don't have good sticks. And then you're like, oh, I get to go to Germany. And I'm like, well, I'm bringing my sticks with me. And then
Yeah.
the team's like, oh, we'll give you some money for your sticks later on in the year. I'm like, you know
Yeah.
what? I don't even, whatever. I just want to use my sticks so that
Yeah.
I can actually be good this year.
No, it
And
does
that's what
help.
happens. And then you play longer, right?
Hmm. No, I'll just touch on this. When I was in Shreveport after that German year, they're sponsored by Sherwood, or that the CHL, essentially was sponsored by Sherwood. So I show up to camp, and they're like, "You got to use Sherwood stuff." I'm like, "Oh, okay." So he's like, "Here's a brand new stick, new curve. You're trying to make the team. Here's a stick you've never used before, and some gloves." I'm like, I know everybody's in the same boat, but it's like it makes a difference what tools you're using, like you said, eh?
Dude, when that's what happened to me. Like I left Western Michigan and I had used Bauer sticks with the Linden curve the whole time. And I went to the AHL where I'm a step away and they're like talking about signing me. And I get there and they're like, you can't use a Bauer stick. You have to use a CCM or a Reebok. And I'm like,
Yeah,
well, what the hell curves do they have? And they're like, well, you're going to have to use whatever sticks are in the rack downstairs. And I had to go through the 5 right-handed sticks that were on the team. And I'm like, that is the weirdest thing I've ever seen. that, how do you shoot top corner? And
Yep.
like that one. And it's like, how do you get a step away from the NHL? And then you're using a different stick. But anyways, I still have been confused about that. You know what? I think they're probably still doing the same thing because they're
Well, they
just
got to make money, right? They don't have much. Their margins are pretty small, so they got to take any sponsorship money they can get, I think.
well,
So I
yeah,
kind
well,
So that takes us back to the shootout in the finals of the
yeah.
Oberliga. So the coach Larry, he calls out who's shooting, and I'm fifth of five. So I'm the last shooter if it comes down to the last shooter.
Really? In the
I'm the fifth.
finals, final game of the
Final
Oberliga.
game is going to be determined by shootout, and so the ice is just. This is after it's April in Germany, and
Hey, I got a question.
yeah.
Are you like Yarmer Yager where you're like, I don't want to even take the penalty shot? Or are you like,
Oh, that's where I'm going.
or are you like, I want it, I want the game on my stick and I want to end this? But the thing is like, if you're going fifth and you have to score to keep it going, that is totally different than if you score, you win it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we're shooting last. So all four of so the first three skaters on each team don't score. The ice is brutal. We played 20 minutes overtime, no floods after the third period. Played 20 minutes overtime, no flood after that into a shootout. So the ice is just horrible. The place is hot, it's packed, and so the first three shooters on each team don't score. Their fourth shooter doesn't score. So we went down to our fourth shooter of five, and I'm like, oh my, it's gonna come down to me. And like I said, I'm using this stick. I have no idea where I'm shooting the puck. It's so hot there. All I'm trying to do is keep my face mask from fogging up, my visor, right? So I'm still there on the bench. I'm like, I can't see with my visor. It's so hot in here because I'm just standing still. It's fogging up. Like, oh my God, I won't be able to see when I get out there. And I still remember standing there. And so Jason Meyer, who played on the German national team, he's Canadian from out west, but he played. So we brought him. He was my age when they brought him over to finish the last half of the year with us as a defenseman. He was an awesome guy. And he went in there and he totally fanned on the shot. The puck was rolling like this over and over. And because the ice was so bad, he got up on edge when he shot it. It just flubbed and it's a change up. The goalie went to grab it and it just went over his shoulder. It was a change up and it went in the back of the net. And then a guy, Gustafson, that played at Providence when I was at Northeastern, he went in, he was the last shooter for them. And our goalie stopped him, and that's how we won it.
Wow. So you didn't have to shoot though, that final shot.
I didn't have to shoot.
Jeez, that's a great feeling.
I didn't want to. I usually I'm the guy that wants this. I want the ground ball hit to me in baseball. I want the puck on my stick.
Yeah.
That time I did not want the puck.
No, that's one of those feelings, especially like for me, I'd be okay with it if it's like, if you score, you win.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be okay with it, but you know what? Actually, I probably would have a better chance of scoring if it was like, if you score, you keep going. If you score, you win. I probably would miss.
Yeah, it was hard. I remember. Oh boy, that would have been an awesome story though if I scored the one though.
Dude, you still won. It doesn't matter who.
Oh, that was a great night.
Like great night or like great 3 nights? Like how long until you flew out of there? Like, so did you have a parade in Landsberg? Because I've seen the arena. Enough people to have a parade?
Oh, totally. Our party went on for a couple of days.
Isn't it incredible over in Germany when you win something? Like,
it's amazing
how passionate the fans are. Like, they got drums. They're just nuts and they love it so much and they have so much fun, right?
Yeah, we had a huge parade, went all through all the streets of Landsberg, which is a small city, and all the rental car companies gave us all vehicles. We're hanging out the windows, like sitting on the doors, waving and high-fiving people. The people are clapping. We're downtown the town square. We're up in the mayor's office right downtown, like if you see it, like an old European city looks like, right? Small town, the square.
Oh yeah.
All the old buildings. There's a big crowd down below. We're up on like the porch on top of the buildings. Everyone's waving and guys are making speeches, impromptu speeches. And we had one guy who did every team now in the NHL has one guy that does keeps the equipment on, as long as he can.
Yeah.
We had that one German guy kept his equipment on the whole time. This is the next evening.
Oh,
After
those are the
still
guys
has
that
it.
it's almost over. Like I saw Alfie Michaud win a championship in Denmark, and he didn't take his equipment off for hours. He was crying in his equipment. He had a trophy with him. It was quite something to see because he had
Yeah.
had quite a career. He was almost, I think he was about 35, but he knew it was over. He had 3 kids and like he had won everything. And but yeah, like it's strange when you see the guys like they win something and they won't get out of their equipment. I'm like I don't know. Winning is different to everybody, but like those nights I've had of winning, you don't ever get those back. Ever.
No. And we had the same parties when we'd win even WA championships in our little, Ontario leagues here. But I know that night didn't have my equipment on very long because we were up. The cool thing about Landsberg, there was a bar right attached to the building, and bar restaurant, and the guy was a beauty that ran it.
It was right
And
at the end, right in the warm part, right
yeah,
by
yeah.
where we'd shoot at the home end.
And it was a good sized place, and all the fans were packed in there. And I remember going up there. I had everything on but a jock strap. I remember right up there we went. We're singing songs. Like I said, I'm standing on a table with just my jock on, and we're high fiving and singing songs and drinking beers. It was just a blast. Like,
And the
so
funny thing
sincere.
is all that stuff that happens over there in those arenas. Like if people in Canada and the US that like, because this is the global podcast, folks, is that if you can't picture it, like this is actually somewhat professional hockey. Like you pay the players to actually play, but they're playing in arenas that are just like Lucknow, Ripley, Port Elgin. Like we're playing in normal arenas, but you actually somehow find the sponsorship and the money to make it happen.
Yeah,
And like when you win, it's just like winning with any other team, right?
it is, and that's the cool thing about Europe, or with the experience I have in a couple places in Europe, is that they take their small town teams. That you see it in soccer, right? They take their small town teams and that's their team. It doesn't have to be the Manchester Uniteds. It can be just their local league team that they follow with passion. And I know Landsberg wasn't there very long as a professional team, and they were gone a couple years later just because of money. And but the time they had, like the fans and the players were passionate about the game and just they just had a blast. One thing that would be neat, I think, or it'd be a good experiment in North America or even Canada, to build arena. I know the Landsberg arena, there's no sitting. It was just standing. It was like a soccer pitch, right? They just had bars where you leaned on. So nobody sat down the whole game. They just chanted and stayed warm, and they were up on their feet the whole game.
You know what? That's never going to work around here because fans around here are not even close to like that. And no, that's not going to work because there was a game in Port Elgin where we played 3-on-3 and the score is about 37-0. And if I didn't have a place to sit, that would have been a real problem. But like in those arenas, you're right. There was nowhere to sit. You stood and you chanted, you sang songs. Like it was crazy. And every game was like that. It was the third league, the second league, the first league. It didn't matter where you were. The fans were just as passionate in any league. And man, when they love you that much and you're winning and you have a parade and you see what it does to that town of Landsberg, and you can't tell me if you go back to Landsberg, they don't all remember that day, right?
I think you know what, I haven't been back, and I thought I would have. By now it's been 15 years. And no, I'm intrigued to see if I can make it back someday to see if they do actually remember that, because it was fun. It was a blast. And I can still remember the people and their faces now. I'd recognize them, I think, if I saw them. A lot of the good fans.
Wow, it's like I spent 4 years in Bietigheim, and then when I left, I just left. Like my first year there, we won a championship together, and we celebrated, and we had a special time in our lives together, and then it all just ended, right? But anyways, okay, so now you win that sucker.
Yeah.
And now I guess it's time you're moving back now, right? You're going back to the WOAA
Yeah.
loop, but you won 3 times.
Yeah. So what happened after that was I hung around Landsman for a couple of weeks just to enjoy the place. And then I came home and I ended up going down to we're trying to figure out what to do the next following year. I wanted to play with my old teammate from hometown, Daryl McKinnon, who also played in the same league, in the Oberliga, with Piting, and I wanted to play with him again because we were good teammates. We're cousins. He was the best man at my wedding, so we wanted to find a place where we could play together.
He's your cousin.
And yeah, he's my cousin. Yeah, third cousin. Yeah, so we're best friends and all that good stuff. And so we wanted to play again. We had great chemistry as a line, me and him. So we tried to figure out a place where we could go together. And I remember Berlin, their junior team wanted us to come down there and play for them and be their assistant coaches. And in hindsight, I would have taken that up in a heartbeat now. And we said no, because Daryl, he wanted to really play in North America, in the States. So he wanted to play like the Central League or something. He wanted to get that more rugged, professional.
He was still playing.
Yeah, he wanted to play like not kind of a fun league. He wanted to be like super serious, you know.
I know him.
You know what I mean?
I know him. I know him. If I podcast with him, I know how it'll be, and I know him. We were as competitive as they get. He would be, if I like I've said to a bunch of people, like I could put together a squad, but like Daryl McKinnon as a third line center, that guy can like shut down teams, but he can also help guys score. He was a very, very good player.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. And he's the same as me. Wasn't fast, wasn't big. Just
But I could see him wanting to be more serious than that, because
Yeah.
when he plays, he's more serious than that, and that's not what he was into at that age.
So I was fine with it. So we ended up getting a chance to go down and play in Shreveport in the Central League, the Shreveport Mudbugs.
The Mudbugs. That's a new name for the pod. Mudbugs.
Yeah, so they're in the CHL at the time. So we went down there and we had every intention of playing, sticking it out there. Actually, a guy that was 5 years older than me, Wade Lightbody, had been there for a couple of years. He was from Port Elgin originally. He was Brian Berard's partner in Detroit in their junior ranks. Great player, like I said, from Port Elgin, Ontario. Great guy. We went down there with him, and unfortunately, it was the year of the lockout, whatever you call it. Who locked who out, I don't remember. But so what happened was, so there's no NHL that year, right? So everybody came trickling down. So all the players that were supposed to be in the NHL that had AHL contracts played in the AHL. So that bumped out the guys that would have played in the AHL that year. They got bumped out of the East Coast League, you know.
Oh yeah, and all
so on and so forth.
Effect, yeah.
So after about a month and a half there, it hit us, and then out I go and out Daryl goes, and he went on to stick it out for a month or so after me. I said I'm done, and I went home and
and where was that?
That was in Shreveport, Louisiana.
Because I could see like Daryl being a great third liner somewhere, I think. But like I'm trying, like so he was done, you were done, so you guys head home. So my questions here, okay?
Yeah.
Because we've been running a bit long here, and I try not to make these too long. Did you actually win 3 times? Because Elite Prospects told me you only won once, but did you actually win the WOAA loop 3 times?
Yeah, I won 3 times. I think it might have been 3 in a row, if I remember correctly.
Did you play against Rodney Bauman?
Yep. Yeah, Elora, right?
Well, he's from Elmira, but yeah.
I think he played in Elora.
Yeah.
So you thought we talked about Kincardine and Port Elgin rivalry, small town rivalry around here. In that WOA league at the time, Elora and Port Elgin / Soggy Shores Winterhawks, that was a huge rivalry. And They had
And he
awesome
was
players.
part of that, right? He had Jeremy
Yeah.
Machin and
Yep, he was there. That was their line. That was the big line against our big line, which was me and Daryl. And when he came back, and others, and like Brett McDermott, and no, those were awesome battles. And the same thing. Those games that are, I know in Port Elgin, the place was packed. The Laura was packed. We took those games as serious as any game we ever played before that. Like we were wearing the heart on our sleeve out there. Like there was boys were blocking shots with any part of their body, scrapping if they had to, taking hits if they had to. Like there was no holds barred, and we wanted to win that bad. And which was cool about, like Bauman, like you said, and Jeremy Machin, all good, awesome hockey players. It was an awesome battle, and I'm so glad we got to experience that around here, because you know what, I'll run into those guys again at some point, I know, and I'm sure we'll chat it up. We hate each other on the ice.
but they also won sometimes too in Elora,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, no, they won as well. Yeah, for sure. No, they're really good, really, really good.
Yeah, those are my buddies. So
Yeah.
yeah. But I ended up playing, I guess, for the Ripley Wolves, and we got into some of those same confrontations with other teams a lot later in your life.
Mhm.
But like, so when you win it, like, what's it like around Port Elgin? What happens when the Saugeen Shores win the championship? Like, what goes down? Because I know what happens when the Sugar Kings win.
No, I still remember the first year we won. Like the Port Elgin didn't even have their ice book. They taken their ice out before we were done the playoffs. We had to move all our games to a town which is about 5-10 minutes away from us in Southampton, into a smaller rink, because they just weren't used to us being around, because our team was relatively young. And we were getting phone calls. I was getting phone calls just to get tickets to get into the rink that night. So you had to get, either be a season holder to get into the rink that night, or be one of the first ones to get a ticket, because it was sought after. Like we'd show up to the rink, and warm-ups were standing room only, just to watch us warm up, because that's how in demand the tickets were.
Well, and that's what happened in Ripley. That's what
Yeah.
happened in Ripley. From
Yeah.
like from the day I started there with 4 people in the stands to when we were in the finals. It was, oh, I can't imagine, like, if you when you won it. So yeah, must have been so much fun around
It
there.
was so much fun, because that's what I'd wanted I remember, like, circling back to where we had talked about playing minor hockey in Port Elgin. Like I just wanted to win for Port Elgin, just because what I've always heard, being a hockey town. And it was just kind of neat that it was, now I was there winning for a Port Elgin team, and it was just a lot of fun. And it was weird, like we go down the street, there's people with Winterhawk flags on their cars, like where the hell did they get that? And, like it was just odd. There's signs in every store window, like telling when the game was. It just felt like you step back in time, where the local hockey team was a big deal back. It was like 1940s or something, when the local team was the big team. It was just a neat, really neat experience. And they're still supporting the teams really well in Port Elgin. And it was good that with yourself being involved in Ripley, and when I got there, like, just to expand their fan base a little bit, just to see the support they get.
But the thing is winning. Like, winning brings in fans. Like,
Yeah.
if you don't win, if you don't make it to the finals, nobody's coming to watch a senior A game.
No.
Well, unless it's the kids. But like, there's not many people coming to watch
No.
a senior A game in December unless you're related, I would say.
Exactly.
But when it comes down to it, you get to the end, it's like Derek Burrows and I said, like, you get to the final 4 teams, that's real shit. That's real hockey. And those games are real. And that hockey is as real as it gets, whether you make $0 like we did,
Yep.
or like you make millions. Like, I watch the NHL now, and I'm like, I saw people do way harder things to win a senior A game.
Yep.
Like, yeah, maybe they didn't know exactly where to go or where to be in certain situations, but they were all trying as hard as anybody in the NHL, and that was to win in Senior A.
Yeah, like you'd block a shot with any part of your body. Yeah, you'd scrap a guy way out of your weight class at the end of the game just to think you're sending a message because that's your role on the team. No, you'd get ready for a game like you were playing in the NHL. You'd try and have a nap. I know some guys can't do it so much with families and stuff, but like you take it that seriously. Like you show up to the game ready to play, ready to win, and do what you had to do. Like it's crazy because, and that's how you know. Like you said, you watch the games on TV. Those guys, yeah, they're making a ton of money, but at that point in time, that's not why they're playing, right? As cliche as that sounds, but it's true. They actually don't care. They just want that feeling. They're playing for a feeling, right? And our feeling was winning the WA league, and because that's all we had, and it was worth something to us anyway.
No, I mean, like, yeah. It would have been awesome if I could have, or if we could have won in Ripley, and like I could have taken the trophy to Ripley school. Like that would have been one of the highlights of my life, and that's what I was
Totally would have.
right, and that's what
Yep.
I was shooting for, and I tried my darndest. Didn't get there, but everybody breaks down at some point. But you guys won it 3 times, so you guys had a bunch of parties, and then you got used to winning, which is what happens, and then guys get older, and then there's not the new group, and you know what? You end up switching to the Ripley Wolves with me, and I do know you had some concussion issues throughout your time, um, probably from getting hit a lot, the way you
Fair.
played, and fighting and everything you did. You played the game hard.
No, I did. That's one thing I'm kind of proud of, I guess. Maybe not so proud of now, but I'm feeling the ailments of it. But no, I think when we were playing, Brent, the concussion issues kind of became a mainstream just thereafter. I know they didn't talk about it when I was at Northeastern University. So I know I went a ton there, a ton in junior B, but we didn't know what the hell that was at the time.
We did not.
It's
I was in the AHL getting them, and it was like, can you play? Right?
Yeah. No, I'd go. I could still remember a shift I had at Northeastern where I was actually having a good game, and I got double shifted, which was rare for me there. And I went out and I got hit hard the shift before, but I had a good shift, so I went off. And I just remember being in I got into a deja vu. I remember going back on I can still picture the shift right now in my head. And I remember I could see everything unfolding in front of me. I could see 2 steps ahead, but I couldn't do anything about it. I was just in this trance.
I know. Oh my
And I was
God.
just following the player, and I go, I know that's going to happen. That's going to happen, but I couldn't do anything to.
No, you're freaking me out, man. You're freaking me out.
So it was I could still feel it. I could still see it. And that's just one experience of it. And no, another time, there's actually a picture of it in the Boston Globe, picture me on the front cover of the sports page. I took a run at a big guy on, I can't remember what team it was. And I hit the guy, and I was so outclassed in weight that I was still on my skates, but my head was at my foot. So I was bent right over. My other foot was above my head. That guy just standing just fine. So I took a run at him. So I would another one. Just ran to a brick wall.
Like
got posted on the front of the Boston Globe for it.
I mean, it's crazy. Like I remember one of my first AHL games. Like literally, they're like, this guy's got 50 goals this year, and I'm out on the ice with him, and he's got the puck, and he's like 32 years old, and he's like 230 pounds, and I go try to hit him like he's a normal college kid. And when he hit me, or when we hit each other, I was gone. That was it. And like, I really shouldn't have played anymore. But then you go into the training room and you see Joe Motzko sitting there like, is your shoulder okay? Can you play? And you're like, holy shit, this is my chance. Like, I actually might get a shift now. Like he's a right winger. And then you're like, shit, I better get back out there. And you can't see straight. You don't know what's going on. And you're like, I am not gonna, like, I've worked so hard to get here. How do you not just keep going, right?
Yeah.
And that's what every one of us is like.
Yeah. And because you don't know if you're gonna be back in that situation again. You don't know. Like, you can be gone the next day. So you gotta give her that day. And maybe it's the wrong advice, but I
No, like, and
would
with
do it again
brains and
every
stuff
time.
now, it's like, well, now it's like it's all real, right? It's all real. When we were playing, it wasn't real, but if you don't play for a year,
You're gonna get
yeah, you don't play
especially
for
if
a
you're
year.
on if
Yeah,
especially if you're on the fringe, right? If you're not,
yeah,
Sidney
yeah.
Crosby, obviously. If you're a
It,
fringe player, you gotta give her.
well, you know what, folks? Um, I think where are we here? What else do we got left, sir? I think concussions are not something we need to get into on a fun podcast.
No, but
Um,
I'll start this one here. I bought that. I thought of you today. I went fishing. I saw this a while back. Went
what'd you get?
fishing for this. You've probably seen this before.
Holy moly. Adam
Yep.
Kennel and Adam Hogg and Brent Walton on the newspaper. Look at
Yeah.
that, folks. That is the line they call it. And did you get ranked number 1 or number 2?
So the article was called "Which Trio Has Been the Most Feared of the Midwestern Junior B Loop." Then they went on to play. They went on to talk about all-time great lines. You guys are in there, and my line in Port or in Owen Sound, sorry, with Daryl McKinnon and Adam Mitchell were honorable mentions. So
Honorable mention
yeah, I don't know what I had to do.
with
Remember this,
Adam Mitchell and Daryl McKinnon. You were
yeah, you got to remember
honorable
this.
mention. What am
Yeah, I
I,
better.
number 1? Am I not? Did we get number 1 with Kennel and Hogg?
According to somebody gave you their best.
Jeff Hicks?
Gary Schaefer gave you the nod. They had a couple guys say who he was the guy that said there that was the best line. Gary Schaefer. I got to stick with Hogg, Kennel, and Walton. Schaefer says. So this little bias, right? This is the Kitchener, Waterloo, Cambridge.
Well, yeah, no, that's a little bit
So,
more local to Elmira than
but
the
man,
Port Elgin newspaper.
look at your hair though. It's the same.
Well, it doesn't change. It's been thin since I was young.
It's hilarious.
Yeah, no, it hasn't changed much, but well, I can't thank you much. I can't thank you enough for coming on, man. Like, our kids are friends, our wife were friends. Like, I moved to a new town. You're one of the guys that helps me feel welcome, and it's hockey, right? Like, hockey. When I moved to Kincardine and hockey was over, like, realistically, it's what got me going again, and it got me meeting people. It got me talking to people, and now I
Yeah.
know as many people as I do, and it's all hockey. And when I first moved to this town, I was so lost, and it was it was all you guys that when I showed up at the Ripley Wolves made me feel like Kincardine was home, and like I knew people, and like I had friends, and it was just like I was on every other team in Europe where you have 20 guys and wives and kids, and all of a sudden I felt like that again. And like it was a little different where everybody has different jobs and everybody's going to do different things, but like at the end of the day you're still showing up at the rink and you're like, we're in this together. And then when you get to those final games and you're like, we'll do anything, right? Like we'll do anything to win this. And when you get into that mindset with guys that are your friends, that's when you guys really bond, right?
Yeah, there's nothing like get a high five or a pat on the back from a guy after you block the shot, or vice versa, right? Giving a guy a awesome man, great block, just little things like that. And the thing about hockey is I've hated hockey at times. I've loved hockey at times. And I know a lot of hockey players say this, but like hockey's, even though I never played, NHL or AHL or anything like that, but hockey's given me tons of opportunities to meet people. It helped me get acquainted to a new town. I had instant friends because I was able to get into the hockey community, just like you were saying with you. You have an instant community, whether you move to, like you did, Carter and me, whether you move to a place in Europe, you have a community that has your back right off the bat, and that's what's kind of cool about the sport.
No, it is, and yeah, like and the yeah, it's awesome, and I can't thank you enough, and we're gonna have lots of times to chat over the long haul here. So congratulations, like for like I really think you became a winner. I know this sounds ridiculous, but like Daryl McKinnon and Adam Mitchell and Silverthorne and you were always winners. Like you guys were. Like playing against you guys were winners. Those are the guys I remember. Um, you guys were winners. Like the guys in Elmira, like Fisher, Eggets, and those and that Vinayanath, and like
Hey, Fisher's a Southampton boy. He's a
but
Soggy boy.
right, and but like they're winners, right? They're
Yeah.
winners. Like, and when it comes down to it, they're good people that like they care about their team and they care about everything. And it, yeah, like it. There's a lot of winners around. Like it's just yeah. I just those guys playing against them was it was really hard and it was very competitive for a lot of years. And I've never really met them. We've never really got to know each other, but my goodness, was it exhausting.
That's a compliment on behalf of us all.
Yeah, no, it was. But anyways, like thank you for coming on, and I look forward to many more nights of getting to know you. And this has been another episode of Two Ales and Hockey